Hey, what's up everyone, this is Sean and welcome to a brand new video here on the Magic and Thrills. Hey, what's up everyone, this is Sean and welcome to a brand new video here on the Magic and Thrills. Now today I wanted to directly address, hopefully answer a little bit in some form, one of the most commonly big questions I get asked for recommendations on or answers on, things like that. And I'm not a doctor, before I get into this, I'm not a doctor, not a physician, not anything like that. I'm really just someone who just has been to all the parks of both Universal Orlando and Disney World many times, multiple times a year. And so I just get asked the most common thing, which is what type of shoes would I recommend or wear in my multiple days at the parks and that kind of thing. And what I want to do is give you guys a really, most recent example of what I was told and my advice for you. Do with it what you will. But again, I'm not a doctor when I say all this stuff. It's just what worked for me to help me prevent having, exhausted feet or blisters on my feet and all that stuff. So that's just this is just my words. So pretty much about a year ago, a little over a year ago, again, I went to the Run Disney Springtime Surprise event in Walt Disney World, and I did the full challenge there. So I did the 5K, the 10K, and the 10-miler on 3 consecutive days, along with full days in the park as well, previously or after those runs. And then I also do the Halloween Horror Nights event every year at Universal Orlando as well, and that's about probably 8 to 10 miles of walking consecutively, in the evening. So. And in fact, even though you're not really doing constant walking straight through, it still is a very kind of exhausting evening because you are walking into all the different areas of the park and stuff as well. So for me, the best way I can start this off, I would say, is that, again, people always ask me, what kind of shoes would I recommend or what kind of shoes should I buy? And the first thing I want to give you for advice, if you want to take it, would be you do not have to spend hundreds of dollars on shoes to get a good pair of shoes that will work for you in the parks. Now, the second thing I want to say, too, is that no matter what shoe you get, and I'll get into that, the whole suggestive part of it as far as branding goes and what you should do to get, the best shoe for you, is that no matter what shoe you get, if you decide to buy a brand new pair of shoes just for this trip or whatever trip you're going on, please get them broken in before your trip. And what I mean by that is that you don't want to go buy a brand new pair of shoes, no matter what brand they are, put them on, wear them for roughly off and on for maybe a week or so on non-full walking days, in a sense, and then go spend 6 days of walking, 10 plus mile days in the parks. You don't want to do that. That is almost a guaranteed blister, even if the shoes are made for walking or for running. You don't want to do that. So this was told to me by the people I went to when I got fitted, because I personally went to get fitted at my local running store, my Dick's Sporting Goods. They actually had a treadmill inside the actual store when I went there, and the idea was to pretty much for the associate was to watch me walk and run on the treadmill to see what kind of style, what kind of a roll, if you will, I have on my feet, to then get me to the best branding the best brand of shoes, I should say, for my roll of a walk and a run. Now, the next thing I'll say is that you don't have to buy the most branded up shoes for a good pair of shoes for the parks. So if you already have shoes that you've already owned for a long time, as long as they don't have, I would say, from what I was told at the store, as long as they don't have over 1,000 miles of, or I think it's actually 300, 400 miles for running, but 1,000 miles of walking miles, meaning that as long as you haven't walked over 1,000 miles of walking miles in those shoes, they should still be good to go. And the reason why I was told is because once the sole or the support of the shoe has been over that amount, it kind of becomes counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, which is to have a good roll in your foot. And what I was explained to by the person at the store was that basically every single person has different size feet, which obviously makes sense, but they have a different narrowness or different wideness to their feet, which then would kind of transfer over to the right type of shoe, not branding wise, but just width wise. So you don't want to buy, for example, a pair of shoes that's too narrow for your feet or too wide for your feet. Either way, you're hurting yourself in that sense. So the other thing too that I was told is that you want to keep the rolling motion of your foot the entire day at the park or trip or your entire trip, I should say. And what that means, from what I was told, is that as soon as you start walking for extended mileages, meaning 5 to 10 miles per day for more than one day in that sense, a lot of times your foot can stop having that roll, that natural roll that you have from your walking stance, because you get tired and your muscles get sore. And as soon as you lose that, or as soon as you start to kind of not have a full roll in your foot, that's when the whole thing happens of where you start to get the more the more possible unfortunate blisters, because the blisters start to occur, from what I was told, is that when you start to like do like a skidding motion of where you don't have the full muscle in your foot rolling anymore, when you start to walk like this and then just lift up from having tired feet and tired legs, that's when blisters start to occur. The other thing I want to do before I go into brains and all that stuff is to mention that it also doesn't matter what kind of socks you wear, not branding wise necessarily, but just socks. So meaning like the most commonly worn type of material of a sock is pretty much cotton for the most part, which is just fine for most days in our lives. As far as like short trips or long trips, whatever it might be, just when you're walking around, whatever, it's all good for cotton socks. However, when you start getting into the 5 to 10 mile days in parks, when you're in the sun all day long, you're sweating, and all that sweat goes into your foot from your foot. Cotton traps that sweat in it essentially, and then that's also an increase of where blisters come from, because blisters really come from, again, a non-rolling foot walking pattern, and then having to skid on your heel, especially all those heel blisters you get come from the sweat being trapped down there, and then that constant pressure. That's what creates blisters, from what I was told at the store. Now the next thing too is that if you are looking to also invest in socks, not just shoes, which you don't have to do this, but this is my suggestion of what I was told when I went to go get fitted for myself, is that I would definitely recommend, if you want to, getting some nylon socks, because nylon for running shoes are more common, or when you're running I should say, because the nylon material is sweat wicking, so that means that when you start to sweat on your feet, then rather than cotton trapping it, the nylon will actually get rid of it and it'll expel it into the shoe. And then most decent good walking shoes are breathable, and they will expel that sweat, and then that will usually help, not guarantee, but it'll help prevent you from getting your feet from getting blisters, which is the whole idea. So now I'm going to go into kind of branding. I mean, everyone has their own preferred brand, so I'm not going to go into anything like super specific stuff on branding. But the ones that I wear, for example, for the day, so when I was running for Run Disney, I wore my Hoka shoes. I think they were like Hoka 9s. They were what was good and preferred for me, for my foot, based on my foot width, because again, for running, you want to get the best shoe for the width of your feet, meaning not too narrow, not too wide, just right for your foot, because that's also a prevention for blisters, and also more importantly for support too. So for you, for walking, it's a little bit different story than a running is, obviously, but all the On Cloud shoes are pretty good. So again, On Cloud, New Balance is great. Hoka is one of the most popular ones as well. Tevas are pretty good, and I know a lot of people who like to wear their sandals, the Teva sandals, for their day in the park too, for if they go on water rides and things like that. So all those are great brands. Again, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on shoes to get a good, decent pair of shoes. You can if you want to, for sure, but you don't have to. It's one of those things where it's all personal preference on how you want to do that. But again, the biggest thing, like I mentioned before, is that you really want to make sure that you break in your shoes, whether if they are brand new, at least, and this is what I was told by the running experts, but at least a month of wear before your trip. And I'll use my own personal experience on this one. So when I went to do my Run Disney, my springtime surprise last year, I did actually, I bought a pair of the I think it's the On Cloud Tilt shoes when they were brand new, and I basically bought them brand new. I wore them for roughly off and on for maybe about, I think it was 2 weeks, and not nearly enough, honestly, before the actual trip. They were really comfy, for sure, and they were great for everyday wear, but not for that amount of walking in a park, like not 10 miles plus. So when I got to the actual park part of the day, and so after my Run Disney runs, I went to the park, I put those shoes on, and then essentially about within a few hours of just walking in the park the first day, the heel part of the shoe was kind of rubbing against my heel, so it didn't cut it or make it bleed or anything like rough like that, but it did hurt, and that made my runs a little harder the next few days as well. So what I would suggest, this is just my opinion, is that if you know for a fact you're going to be in the parks for, even as little as 2 days, and you want to have a for sure way of not having, or I should say, 100%, again, nothing's guaranteed, but a for sure way of reducing your chances of blisters, then I would suggest wearing some nylon socks. They won't be as comfortable as cotton is, because cotton is just that comfy. It's just the way it is, but cotton does trap your sweat again. So definitely, if you want to invest in some nylon socks, they are not any more expensive than cotton ones are. They're just a little bit thinner and they are sweat wicking as well. They're not as comfy, but they will at least get the sweat out of your feet and make your foot more breathable during that time frame. So that's what I recommend, because that's what I learned after day one of walking in the Cloud Tilt shoes, was that I needed to have some better socks for the walking portion of my day, not even the running part. So if you want to spend the money, you can. You don't have to do it that way. You just it's up to you on that one. But I just wanted to suggest them because it really did help me for my trip and my experience. Now the other part too is, and again, is to make sure that no matter what you buy, if you buy shoes, if you choose to buy a brand new pair of shoes, again, you don't have to spend a ton of money on them. You can spend, $80 to $100 on them, which is pretty much an average shoe price these days. A decent, good pair is about $150 or so, is in my experience. But again, make sure that they are broken in at least a month before your trip if you can help that. Just that way you can have them be really kind of molded to your shoe. Because from a brand new pair of shoes for this type of walking or running shoes, because you can buy running shoes for walking. Most people do that anyways with all the OnCloud stuff and Hoka's and all that. They wear them they are running shoes and they buy them for walking. And that's totally fine too. But just make sure that you have them broken in fully so you don't have any kind of those issues as far as getting an increase of a chance for blisters. So that's kind of my little rant, my vent or my suggestion, if you will, on a good pair of running or walking shoes. Again, I'm not going to go into anything like super brand specific because everyone has their preferred brands for support, so that's up to you to decide for yourself. So if you've worn New Balances forever, if you have family that wear New Balances, go for it. Just make sure that you break them in time and make sure that you also get the right width for your foot. That's the most important thing, because again, everyone's different. That's why it's such a hard question to answer, because again, for me, I have a very wide, flat foot. I wore Vans up until for like 25 plus years of my life. So switching to some actual support shoes was a huge change for me personally. So that's kind of my feelings on it. But hopefully this helps a little bit. If you have any questions at all about this, let me know in the comments below, and I will do whatever I can to help you out as well. But again, if you want some actual professional advice on it, please go to a Dick's Sporting Goods if you have one near you, or any run or walking specialty store, because they will have all the equipment, all the stuff that you need, that they can help you out. And again, you don't have to spend a ton of money on shoes at all either, but just keep in mind that that's where I would go if I were you, if you want to really get that question answered for you. But hopefully this helps a little bit more than just than having no answer at all, because again, I get asked this quite a lot on what shoes I would recommend for those long park days and stuff as well. But again, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.